Earlier this week, I almost died trying to read Emilia Clarke's comic Mother of Madness. But so long as we're looking at celebrity-made comics, how could I possibly not talk about BRZRKR, the comic that came from Keanu Reeves as being, first of all, the star of the comic, but also the creator of the story and one of the writers. I do have the physical copy here, which was given to me very generously by my boy Eddie. Now, there were some controversies about this comic as well. Obviously, there's always some sort of uproar whenever a celebrity wants to get into comics, which I talked about when I was going over Emilia Clarke's comic, you know, the idea of, well, celebrities don't have to try as hard as independent comic creators. It's not fair that they just get to have their own series just from their name alone. But my opinion on it is that anyone should be able to write a comic if they feel inspired to do so. And it doesn't really matter what their status is. Obviously, celebrities are going to have an easier time, but keep in mind that they also worked hard to get their name out there and become as well known. It's not like they didn't try or didn't work hard to get where they are in life. But the main controversy over this comic is the fact that Boom crowdfunded it, which doesn't sound like a big deal when I say it like that, but the idea of crowdfunding comics is that it's a very important way for independent comic creators like myself to get their stuff out there, because a lot of us really can't afford printing, can't afford to hire a decent artist or a graphic designer or yada yada yada, because we don't have the funds of a big publishing company. So we turn to crowdfunding so that our fans can help get our books out there, and so we can actually get our books to fans. So right now, crowdfunding is extremely popular, and it's how a lot of independent comic creators are getting their stuff out there. It's very important for them, and yet here's Boom, a company that has funds to print and pay for this comic, yet they're crowdfunding it. And I am willing to bet the main reason why they were crowdfunding it is not to really save money, but just to hop on the bandwagon because they saw the crowdfunding site as being a very popular place where people are going to get their comics. So I think it was really more of a marketing thing than a saving money thing, and that also brought up questions and concerns about how well Boom treats their employees and how well they pay their employees. Honestly, I don't really care if a company goes to a crowdfunding website to get their book funded. I mean, if you're doing it for marketing purposes, I would say, yeah, sure, that makes sense as a good marketing move. If you're doing it to save some money, sure. Whether or not Boom treats their freelancers or employees right, that's a whole other concern. But so long as we are on the topic of independent comic creators getting their stuff out there, Sonic City Witch, my own comic, is available on my website, burningstarcomics.net. If you're into cyberpunk and fantasy, I would recommend checking it out. We have some preview pages up that you can look through. It's a low price just to get started with the digital version, and we're already getting reviews. So far, pretty positive stuff. So definitely check it out if you do have the chance. Thank you for everyone who's leaving a review. I actually really enjoy hearing what people think about a comic. It's not enough just to put your comic out there and have people see it, but you actually want like feedback. You want to hear what people's thoughts are when they're reading it, you know? But now let's get back to BRZRKR, because yes, I've read it and I'm gonna review it for you here. So the plot of BRZRKR is basically, it's about this guy who's lived for a very long time. He's immortal. He's basically Wolverine. He's working for the government, battling out some wars while they experiment on him to try to figure out why exactly he's immortal. Now, he doesn't care what they do with the findings of their research. He doesn't care if they clone him, if they make a whole army of immortal soldiers. He just wants one thing: mortality. He wants to be a normal boy. I've seen this a few different places before, but they are going a more gruesome, modern direction with it in this comic. Now I do gotta say, I'm not the biggest fan of blood and guts and gore, but I understand the purpose of it and how it can have a really big impact, how it can make a story better, especially when it comes to visual stories like comics. And I think it's overall pretty well done in this comic. I have no complaints about the art. This is actually a pretty thick first issue, so you might think that there's a lot of content in this first issue. You'd be wrong. Actually, not a lot happens here. It's mostly just setup for what is, I would say, yeah, more than half of the comic is focusing on him just doing a mission with some military boys. And there's like caption boxes over that, but they did a fairly good job with the caption boxes to not make it too intrusive. I'm actually not a huge fan of caption boxes. I think that for the most part, people should just let the art do the talking and not narrate over everything. So they did a good job with making it so that those caption boxes don't get on my nerves. But I will say, this gruesome fight, lasting for more than half of the comic, probably a bit too much, especially considering that I don't think this fight in the long term has any significance. It's just a random mission to kill some people, I guess. I mean, are we gonna get background on what this war is about? Are we gonna find out that the villain behind this army is another immortal like Keanu? I don't know. I don't know how any of this is significant or why it lasts for half of the comic. But as far as I can tell, it's not. It's just set up to show you what he's been doing this whole time while the government is experimenting on him, which is fine. I just think if this is not very significant, if it just serves as setup, then maybe it should be shorter. And this is coming from someone who actually likes long action pages. But like I said, though, one of the problems I have with this is just that there's not much here in the first issue. It's more like a prologue to a story than it is a story. Some people like to use the first issue of a comic series to be set up. I can understand why, and I do think that you should set the stage in the first issue. But even if you're not completing the whole main story in the first issue, I think that you should try to have mini stories within a grand scheme of a big story, if that makes sense. Like, I want to end this comic and be satisfied with what I read. I don't want it to feel like it's unsubstantial. I don't want it to feel like it was just a prologue and I have to keep buying more to get the actual meat of the story. So because of that, there's really not that much to say about the first issue of BRZRKR. It's not bad. I wouldn't say that it was bad. And I would certainly read this 1,000,000 times more than I would read Emilia Clarke's Mother of Madness. Oh my goodness. This comic definitely knows how to do show don't tell, especially when 90% of it is splash pages. They didn't have 3 writers on this. They had 2 writers, 2 editors, 1 assistant editor. So maybe there was just more quality control over this? I'm not sure. Maybe women just can't write comics. And the retail price that they're listing it for at the back is $4.99, which seems pretty expensive for a prologue story. I mean, Sonic City Witch, that's a digital copy going for $149, and that has more content in it than this does. What I'm saying is, buy my comic. But yeah, as far as celebrity written comics go, this was not that bad. It's not perfect, but it's pretty solid. I can see potential in the full story whenever the full story comes out. If they were to just get all the issues and smash them into one graphic novel, I would prefer to read that than a prologue. But yeah, if there's any other celebrity-made comics out there that you would like me to review, let me know in the comments section. I'll certainly find them wherever they are, and maybe we can make a tier list of the best and the worst celebrity comics. But do you have your own thoughts and opinions on BRZRKR? Have you read further through? Let me know what you think, as I do like hearing your thoughts. If you did enjoy the video, remember to like, subscribe, and you'll see more comic reviews from me. I'm glad that I didn't have to torture myself for this video. Still not sure if I actually can. I don't know if I have the willpower to keep on reading Mother of Madness. But I guess we'll see what the future holds for us. So till then, guys, bye!
restart.